and welcome to another pen video from me, Penultimate Dave. So I have here another 10 pens currently inked for this week. I think let's go through these briefly one by one. We'll go through them in a little bit more detail and then we'll do a writing sample. So from left to right we have the beautiful Visconti Empire. We have a Majohn Titanium TI-136 hammered pen. We have a Montblanc Writer's Edition Jane Austen, a Visconti Homo Sapiens Bronze Age oversize, a Visconti Homo Sapiens Dark Age oversize. We have an Onoto, and this is the University of Oxford. We have another Onoto, and this is the Magna Classic in the Amber Pearl Chased. We have another Onoto here, and this is in the Chased Jade or Green. We have a Cypress Eggshell 01 and a Cypress or Mr. Cypress Eggshell 05A. So I think let's take a look at these pens in a little bit more detail. So this is the beautiful Visconti Empire. I picked this up second hand this year. It is a beautiful pen. Really, really beautiful. I like the blue. I like this sort of veins that are running through this translucent blue. And I like this sort of metal overlay or filigree there. Very, very nice. It has an older 18 karat gold nib from Visconti or Bock. This one is a fine nib. It is a power vac. You do have a double reservoir. So this does hold a lot of ink. I can post that cap as well. The only thing I would say is, and this is why I typically don't post caps a lot, is that this cap here, the blue part, goes over that overlay or filigree. And over time, I think you are going to crack this part of the cap. So that's a very good reason why I don't post caps. I have seen and heard of a lot of caps that have cracked in the past. A lot of vintage as well. And I think it's because people are posting their caps. So I think it's fine if you are very careful with it. You're not pushing it on hard. Some pens are designed to be posted. Some are not. And I think it's more of a problem with the pens that are not meant to be posted. The next pen here inked up. This is the Majohn Titanium TI-136. I love this pen. I love the texture on it. It really reminds me of a Montblanc Martelet, which I would love, but they are expensive pens. This is a piston pen. You do have an ink window. You really could say that this is a very good knockoff of a Montblanc Martelet. It does have a lemon nib, not a Majohn nib on this one, and it, as I've mentioned in the past, this has it came with what was supposed to have been a medium nib, but it turned out that the seller seemed to think it was a long blade, which is more of an architect, but the nib that was on there was actually a Fude nib. But I've since ground that nib down to more of a medium architect, and I'm liking it a lot more. I can post that cap as well. It's a very nice balanced pen. It does post onto the piston, obviously you've got to be careful taking that off. Again, another reason to not post caps if you've got piston filling pens. I kind of still want another one of these. I don't normally buy pairs of pens unless it's in maybe a different colour or a different maybe nib width. But I kind of feel that I would like another one of these. These are not, they're not inexpensive pens, but they're not expensive. These are around about £137, I think I paid imported. So about 137 US dollars. It's more than a TWSBI. It's probably closer to that of a Leonardo with a steel nib, or an Esterbrook SD, oversized maybe. So it's not a cheap pen, considering it's made in China or coming from China, but it's a nice pen. So I might buy another one of those at some point. I don't need another one, but I just like that finish a lot. The next pen inked up is the Montblanc Writer's Edition, and this is the Jane Austen, and you can see that it's a beautiful pen. You have her signature here as well on the pen. The clip is supposed to sort of show like a drawstring bag that ladies of that era used to carry, either handkerchiefs or puff boxes, powder boxes. And then the cap here, I don't know if you can see this step down here, but that's typical of what you would see in a gent's coat or blazer or jacket. It's a beautiful pen, a heavy pen. I think it comes in around about 75, 80 grams in weight, although 2/3 of that is in the cap. You've got a silhouette of Jane Austen there on the nib. You cannot post the cap on this one. Most Montblanc Writer's Editions, you cannot post the cap. There is a huge step down here. That may bother some people. It doesn't bother me. I don't normally feel it or see it. So for me, it's not a problem. But I know for some people, one of the I want to say probably the first two things that people turn off about a pen is if it can't be posted, and if it has a large step down, and then maybe if it has a small nib. But those are probably the top three that I hear about turn-offs for people when they're buying pens. Maybe weight and length as well. The next pen inked up is the Visconti Homo Sapiens. This is the Bronze Age oversize. I had this in my collection for about 7.5 years now. I still love the pen. I absolutely adore this nib. I just don't pick this pen up and write with it as much as I should do because it is a black pen. And it's strange because I put a brown ink in here to signify the bronze, and I do write with it more than the Dark Age here, but I still don't write with it as much as I should. This should be a pen that I take into work and write with a lot, but I typically have not done so recently. Normally when I take pens into work, it's more to write letters in my lunch hour or before I start work. I do take notes, but I typically use other pens for that, maybe cheaper pens. The next pen inked up, again, I had this probably about a month less, so probably 7.4 months, and this is the Visconti Homo Sapiens Dark Age oversize. They used to do MIDI versions which were thinner and shorter, which I didn't care for, and then they do these oversized ones. And these were the ones that I fell in love with, and this is probably what sparked me on that downward spiral of getting a dozen or so Visconti Homo Sapiens. It is crazy, and it's interesting that I've got so many, but myself and some friends have been talking and saying, well, Visconti just seem to be milking the Homo Sapien or the Opera Master range, just bringing out new colours. And honestly, all pen brands are like that. Leonardo are like that. Esterbrook are like that. Once they find a pen that sells, they'll just make more of them in different colours. But that said, I like the Homo Sapiens. They are the right size for me, the right weight. You've got a hook safe lock mechanism. This one's got a ruthenium coated 23 karat palladium medium nib, not a fine nib. And again, you can post the caps on these ones, and they post deeply and securely. These are Powervacs, but they are single reservoir, not double reservoir. So 1.5 milliliters of ink, a little bit more than a piston will hold. And I think one of the reasons why I didn't like the MIDI version of this was because the MIDI was a piston and not a Powervac. That was the other probably deciding reason why I wanted the oversized ones more. The next pen inked up is another pen that I bought this year. This is the Onoto, and this is the University of Oxford, and you've got the University of Oxford coat of arms there that you can see. It's a beautiful pen. I love this pen a lot. I love this diffusion bonded acrylic here. It really is a nice material. I did really want this in black and not dark blue. The black and gold versions were the Shakespeare, and I think they were limited to something like 88 or something around that, 78, 80 pens worldwide. So they sold out very quickly. Maybe I'll pick one up eventually, but this is still a beautiful pen. I like it a lot. It's got a number 7 size, Onoto 18 karat gold number 7 nib. It's a medium nib there. I can post a cap as well if I want to. I did kind of like go. I was on a huge Visconti kick at one point, and I had over 70 pens. I still do have, I think, over 70. I think it's probably more. I was more over 80 pens. I then started liking Onotos a little bit more. They're slightly shorter, about the same girth, I would say. But the nibs write very similar to Visconti nibs in terms of very wet nibs in most cases. So I'm very glad that I picked up that one this year. I also have this one, and this is the Onoto, and this is the Amber Chased Pearl. Again, a beautiful pen. Bought this one second hand. I think it was from Royal Izods. Might have been Dylan Stevens. Very, very nice pen. All of the Onoto clips are silver. These gold ones are silver with gold plating or vermeil. It has a number 7 size Onoto 18 karat gold nib. It's a medium nib there. These Onotos are cartridge converters. You can post the cap as well if you wish to. You can get plunger fillers, which are vac fillers. And you can add them, if you're buying a pen from Onoto, you can add them, not to every single pen. There's only a certain range of pens, I think, that they will fit. And it all depends on basically the length of the pen and how much thickness of the material is bored out inside the pen. The next pen inked up is the Onoto, and this is the Chased Green or Jade. Again, a beautiful Onoto. I like this chasing pattern. Very, very nice. And again, I got this second hand. This was from Royal Izods. I definitely remember this one. It's a pearl green or pearl jade. Again, a beautiful pen. It's got a number 7 size Onoto 18 karat gold nib, and that one, just looking at that, is a medium nib as well. These are cartridge converter pens. Again, you can post the cap as well. I kind of like... I think I probably didn't like having a black section on these, but I think nowadays I kind of like a black section because they are not normally going to stain with ink. So it's pretty hard to stain black. You'd probably have to stain it with some permanent white or permanent green or something like that to stain it. So black sections typically, I think, are quite good. The next pen inked up is a Cypress, or used to be called Mr. Cypress. I think their website still is mrcypress.com.tw, TW for Taiwan. But this is a beautiful eggshell Raden that I bought last year, actually. It's surprising how time flies. I still love this pen a lot. It has a little bit of sparkle on the section, not a huge amount. It has a Cypress number 6 size, 14 karat gold nib. It's a medium nib. Cartridge converter, but you cannot post the caps because these are flat top pens. So typically, most cases you can't post a flat top pen. That said, these I guess you could consider flat tops as well, and they do post. So I think it really depends on the pen and that Visconti as well. So I guess it depends. It's more to do with how the pen tapers down towards the end cap or blind cap. And then the last pen here is the Cypress or Mr. Cypress, and this is the Eggshell 05A. So it's a duck's egg, not quail's eggs, and abalone strips for the Raden. This is, again, a very nice pen, a very glittery section, and I really wish Cypress would do more of these. And you have a Number 6 size Cypress, 14 karat gold, medium nib there. But again, as these are flat tops, you cannot post the cap. Not designed to do so. These are cartridge converter pens, but these are beautiful, beautiful pens. So very glad that again, this was last year that I added that one to my collection, and I'd love to add some more if Cypress or Mr. Cypress bring some more out like this, because I am partial to Majohn and Eggshell as well. So there you have it. That's my Coney ink pens for this week. I think let's now go do a writing sample. So the first pen inked up this week is the Visconti Empire. So we'll do an ink swatch so you can see the ink. This is a very nice writing nib. I used to love the older Visconti 23 karat palladium nibs, and also prior to that the older Visconti 18 karat gold nibs. And this is one of the 23 karat, this is one of the older 18 karat gold nibs, not a 23 karat palladium. But this is the Visconti Empire, and it's a fine, and it is an 18 karat gold nib. And the reason why I like these a lot was because they have a little bit more bounce to them. Now, the ink in here is Waterman, and it is Inspired Blue, which is a very nice light turquoisey coloured blue. We have the Majohn Titanium TI-136. We'll do an ink swatch here, and this is a little bit more like an architect nib now. I'm loving how this nib writes. So this is the Majohn TI-136. I'm going to call it a medium, and it is a steel nib, and I'll show you that typically a stub nib would have fatter or wider downstrokes and narrower cross strokes, but this one is opposite. So this really is more closer to an architect grind now. The next pen inked up is the Montblanc Writer's Edition Jane Austen. So glad I bought this pen. I'm really, really glad that originally when I looked at it, I thought Jane Austen, it's going to be a short pen, it's going to be a light pen, a thin pen. And when I saw a comparison next to a 149, that sold me. So glad that I bought this. So this is a Montblanc Writer's Edition, and it's the Jane Austen. And I think that's why we need to get out. We can't just order pens online. We have to get out and see the pen. We have to pick up the pen. This is a medium 18 karat gold nib. And the ink in here is a Pilot Eroshizuku Aji Sei, which is, again, it's a nice coloured ink. Maybe it doesn't quite match the colour of that cap, but I'm loving the combination though in that pen. The next pen inked up is the Visconti Homo Sapiens Bronze Age Oversize. So again, we'll do an ink swatch here. And this is one of the older 23 karat palladium nibs. It's a fine nib, but I just love how this writes. Very wet. So it's a Visconti Homo Sapiens. I'll say Bronze Age. I'll probably leave it at that. It's a fine, and it's a 23 karat palladium nib. And the ink in here is Diamine Ochre, which is a very nice dark brown ink. Some pens, some nibs, it writes a lot darker in. Other nibs, it writes a lot wetter and brighter, lighter. And so a lot of time I do find that it's a good substitute for Akamine SBRE Brown. But it depends on the pen and nib that you're going to ink it up in. The next pen inked up is the Visconti Homo Sapiens Dark Age Oversize. So again, we'll do an ink swatch here. And again, quite a wet writer, not as wet though. This is the Visconti Homo Sapiens Dark Age, and it is the oversize, and this is a medium, and it's a 23 cat palladium nib. I really wish Visconti with Bot kept doing those nibs. It's a shame. I love those nibs. A lot of people I know didn't like them, but I really did. The ink in here is Diamine Earl Grey. That I think is probably now a perfect match for that pen. I'll probably keep that inked up a lot more now. The next pen inked up is the Onoto University of Oxford. So we'll do an ink swatch here. Now this is a rather lighter ink, but also this nib again is a wet writing nib. So this is the Onoto University of Oxford. It's a medium and it's an 18 cat gold nib. And I think the ink in here matches the colour on that pen quite nicely. It is Lamy Mango. And really do like that colour of ink. It's more of an apricot or mango coloured ink. Not really a yellow ink. It's very legible. So I like it from that perspective. The next pen inked up is the Onoto, and this is the Amber Chased Pearl. So we'll do an ink swatch. And this is another wet writing nib. So this is the Onoto, and it is the Amber Chased Pearl. And it's a medium 18 cat gold nib. And the ink in here is Herban Amber de Bermanie, which is a beautiful autumn coloured ink. An ink that I like a lot. And it really is just a beautiful ink. The next pen inked up is an Onoto, and this is the Chased Green, or Jade, as it's also called. So we'll do an ink swatch. Again, another wet writing medium nib here. So this is the Onoto, and it is the Chased Green Pearl, or Jade. I know there's another name sometimes it's called. It's a medium and it's an 18 cat gold nib. And the ink in here is, I was going to say Onoto, it's not, it's Diamine Meadow. I don't actually have any Onoto inks. I know the Onoto inks are basically Diamine inks. So I think they had a bunch of different blues and greens and reds. I don't really know. I'm guessing they're probably like one of the, like the green maybe might be Diamine Meadow, the blue might be Diamine Oxford Blue. It's probably very similar, if not identical, blues in the Diamine range. The next pen inked up is the Cypress Eggshell 01. And we'll do an ink swatch here. And I have this inked up already in another pen, the Montblanc Writer's Edition Jane Austen, but I just love this ink. So this is a Cypress Eggshell 01. It's a medium and it is a 14 cat gold nib. What's the difference between a 14 and an 18 cat gold nib? Really not a lot. you're really going to struggle to tell the difference. Some 14 karat golds can be very flexible, some can be very hard, and likewise you can find the same with an 18 karat gold nib as well. The ink in here is Pilot Iroshizuku Aji Sei. I bought these with 14 karat gold nibs because I realised that I could save probably about $30 over the 18 karat gold nib, and if I bought maybe 8 or 10 of those, that would equate to around about $300 saving, which would probably buy me another pen. So I just figured I would go for the 14 karat gold nibs. Could have done the 18 karat, but I just figured 14 karat was better. And the last pen inked up here is a Cypress Eggshell 05A. Again, an eggshell Varden. We'll do an ink swatch here. And this is another green that I like as well. There's a bunch of green inks that I do like. So this is the Cypress Eggshell 05A in a medium, and again a 14 karat gold nib. I only have one 18 karat gold nib from Cypress. The first one I bought was 18 karat gold, and I was really toying on whether or not I'd just do a steel nib. So I wanted to see what the 18 karat gold nib was. I liked the 18 karat gold. I then wanted, when I bought more Cypress pens, that I would go for an 18 karat gold, but then I realised that it was cheaper probably to do the 14 karat. The ink in here is Rohrer and Klinger, and it's Verdura, which is a nice green ink. I like Diamond Meadow, but I also like Rohrer and Klinger Verdura as well. So I think let's take a look at these pens inked up one more time. So we have a Visconti Empire in a fine 18 karat gold nib inked up with Waterman inspired blue. We have a Majohn TI 136 in a medium steel nib. And I just realised I've not put what is inked up here. So it is Diamine Earl Grey. I don't know how I missed that one. The next pen inked up is a Montblanc Writer's Edition Jane Austen in a medium 18 karat gold nib inked up with Pilot Iroshizuku Aji Sei. We have a Visconti Homo Sapiens Bronze Age Oversize in a fine 23 karat palladium nib inked up with Diamine Ochre. We have a Visconti Homo Sapiens Dark Age Oversize in a medium 23 karat palladium nib inked up with Diamine Earl Grey. We have an Onoto University of Oxford in a medium 18 karat gold nib inked up with Lamy Mango. We have an Onoto Amber Chased Pearl in a medium 18 karat gold nib inked up with Herbin Amber de Burmany. We have an Onoto, and this is the Chased Green Pearl in a medium 18 karat gold nib inked up with Diamine Meadow. We have a Cypress Eggshell 01 in a medium 14 karat gold nib inked up with Pilot Iroshizuku Aji Sei. And then we have a Cypress Eggshell 05A in a medium 14 karat gold nib inked up with Rohrer and Klinger Verdura. So there you have it. That's my currently inked pens for this week. Thanks for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next pen video. Bye bye.